Okay. So if you think of your website and how important, I think the batteries just died. This is just fantastic. Right? We pull new batteries. Sorry, guys. This thing doesn't actually have a battery meter. God bless you. Okay, let's try this again. Replace the batteries in the mic. Replace the mic. Moving ahead. Okay, so your website. Everybody expects you to have one, right? Our clients need to go somewhere. You have your branding, you have your image, you have your online presence, and I don't care if it's on kw.com or wherever you talk about yourself, you have to have a click through for them to go somewhere. So the homepage of your website is the first chance you have to make an impression on somebody, especially if they don't know you. Or you could say especially if they do know you, right? Because they may be a friend of yours, but they don't know how you do your business or what you look like. This is going to be their first portal into what you look, what you're doing in your business. So that homepage is no different than curb appeal on a property, right? So we talk to our clients about fresh paint, flowers, cut grass, trim the hedges, clean up the stairwell, replace the cracks. Think of the front page, the home page of your website exactly the same way. But what do you have to have? You have to clearly communicate what you do. We know now that we talked yesterday and we have a class on Monday coming in from MVAR that there are legal issues and we can get fines if we aren't properly marketing who we are or who we're with, right? So you got to have your name, your title, a logo if you have one, if not, use the corporate one, contact info, right? Where you're licensed, right? Licensed in Virginia, licensed in Maryland, licensed in DC. Your brokerage information will be at the bottom of every page, but it should also be clearly stated on there that you're with Keller Williams Realty Falls Church. Photos, colors, and images. You're going to see that as something that is a common theme on your website or all websites. Color, photo, images, right, and video. We talk about KW video, talk about photography. When people come to your website, there's a term that we use called click-through. Okay, so if somebody lands on your website, whether it's through an ad or because you steered them there because they know who you are, when they get to your website, the click-through or bounce rate is how long they stay. Do they click to the page and do they click off and go somewhere else? You have a couple of milliseconds to capture their attention. So you don't want too much content anymore. You want content. Content's important for rankings, for Google to find you, for Google to like you. But you have to be very well balanced between content, photography, and video. That's what your clients are expecting for you to see. So pay good contact or good attention to what is your imagery look like. So you have default photos on your website, and when you through the basic website class, we talk about the ability to change that photography, and I implore you to do so either through taking your own photographs, getting photographs from your photographer, right, or utilizing free websites such as Pexels, PEXELS.com. You can do a Google search for websites that provide free stock images and build yourself a little bit of library like I have done. So every time I want to put a post or put a blog or a text, I can incorporate images that aren't really costing me anything. Other people may be using them, but not as often as the photographs that are built in the website itself. Jeff, you okay?
Yes, thank you.
But you want to keep it clean, simple, and you want to be in compliant, right? Everybody's into a modern look and appeal, so you want to make sure that the theme and the flow that you have on your website is what, soft on the eyes, the color scheme works, the photography, and more importantly, we keep talking about compliance. Where are you licensed? What's your brokerage? KW? What state are you in? That's your homepage. But think of curb appeal. That's the content that I like to think there. The second page you want to have is an about me page. Now, when you join here and you go through the profile setup completeness page, I talk about a biography. I talk about a resume. I talk about how to present yourself online. And it's really important. You don't have, most of us have had previous careers besides real estate, and we may have had a resume. But you need to utilize your past and utilize that as a way to connect with everybody else that's out there. So look at your resume and tell a story about yourself. You're looking at 4 to 6 paragraphs of information that you can put on a website that some profile pages on different platforms will allow you to put on, and back up from there. So if I have a 4 to 6 page paragraph bio about myself, that first paragraph should be introductory, right? It should talk about what am I going to learn more about Jason going forward on this little story that he's telling me. And then that first paragraph, I should also be able to drill that down into about 140 to 160 characters that I can put my profile out on a mobile app. So your 4 to 6 paragraph story might break all the way down to something as simple as hockey dad, chef, realtor, father. Right? It sounds small, but it says a lot at the same time. So kind of give some thought about what your likeness is, understanding the website and how you might share those pages on different platforms and how you can take that content to feed other sites. A little bit about the about me should include your business history. What else have you done, or tell a story about you in real estate, your time and how long you've been in production, if you do have that to tell, right? What's your personal history? Where'd you go to school? What's your hometown? Fun facts, hobbies. I mean, I can't tell you how many people I've connected with because I'm an Eagles fan. Go Birds. Right? Super Bowl on Sunday. Whether it's a positive or a negative, it gives me something to talk about with people. Right? There's some razzing that goes around about sports and colleges and hometowns and rivalries, and you may allow you to connect with somebody. Why should I work with you? Right? That's important. Why should somebody work with you? Give them the answers that they're looking for. Now, this is not a page that's going to be bogged down entirely with a whole lot of pictures. Right? There's obviously going to be a picture of yourself, but this is going to have a lot of content. This might have had some click-throughs. It might tell a story about, are you a board? Are you in your church? What charities you participate in? Right? Do you participate in a local little league? Right? You know a lot about me that I'm very involved in my son's hockey program. My other son's getting involved in soccer. I used to be a part of the PTO organization for my son's school. I coached a lot. Those are things that people are wanting to connect with you outside of, can you just buy, list, or sell their home for them? So tell your story. Include mission statements and goals. If you've gotten far enough into the business, and we talk about this, and you understand Keller Williams' mission, visions, values, and beliefs, establish a set for yourself. What is your vision? What is your goal? How are you going to help people? What is your business like? Do you give back a portion of every sale and transaction to a charitable organization? Right? Some people do that. Don't do it to get business. Do it because that's who you are. Right? They'll see right through that. I know people that do it the right way, and I also know people that do it the wrong way. Do it the right way. Right? Personal introduction. When you look me up online, you Google me, you'll see that I have a video. I did a professional video about 3 or 4 years ago. I'm probably due for an update. I don't know if I look the same as I did back then. But a video is important. It's a 90-second introduction telling them who I am, what I'm about, and how I do business. And it's a great way for them to let them understand who I am. How do I dress? How do I look? How do I talk? How do I speak? What's my background like? They're going to watch it. The video's gotten a lot of likes from people, a lot of views from people, because I have it on multiple channels. but it's professionally polished, right? So there's rough cut video. Those are things that I do through KW Video if I'm standing in a courtyard or a house or inviting somebody to a team meeting. But if there's something that's formal like that, where I'm talking about my brand, I'm talking about my business, then it might make sense to have a professionally polished video and done with lights and camera and actually have somebody do it. I was fortunate enough that my lender actually did that for me, and so that might be something that you could put together for yourself, that if you work with somebody, a title company or a lender or some other vendors or somebody just get together, so we could talk to collectively about putting together some nice agent videos. So understanding the difference between polish and rough cut and in the moment, they all have a place on our website. A lead capture form, right? So once they learn a little bit about you, how do they reach out to you? So you have to have that contact information on your website that they can send you an email, say, hey, Dave, I want to learn more. I'm going to put my property up for sale. So how do I do that? Fortunately, the place, their website and everything I'm talking about today, those things are there. So it's just a matter of engaging and getting them up onto the website. Chat more with one of our agents. There's a thing called Zopim, and we've all used them. We see the little boxes that pop up on the websites that say, hey, can I help you? They're great if you have somebody there to do it. Otherwise, it's you, right? So are you going to be there? So if somebody actually clicks on one of those links and says, I want to chat with somebody, and you're not readily available, that doesn't really help you. So if you utilize something like that, you got to understand that that's got to be staffed. So be careful with all the bells and whistles if you're not armed with the leverage to manage them correctly. A blog. I teach a blog class all by itself because it's such a big topic. And I think it's one of the most underutilized tools in our business. You have the ability to talk to people on a multitude of topics within real estate, right? It's not just the process. It's not just about you. It's not just that I had a closing. It's not just there. You could take the life of an escrow, and that could be a 10-part blog series, right? Every time you take a listing, that's potentially 4 blog posts, right? Coming soon, active, under contract, sold. You get to put that out there. Say, I have a coming soon. I have a property, $400,000. Contact me today. We know the market's hot. It's a seller's market. Most things are selling under 2.5 months right now. We'll be going to market in 2 weeks. Contact me today to see it before it hits the market. And then you send a second post. Went on the market, went under contract in 5 days, right? Closed in 30 days, sold for either 95 or 105% of list value. And then you add a client testimonial to close it all up. So that one listing can be 4 ways for you to reach out and communicate with your patient. Right? Look for content. Now, I have a sheet. For those of you who aren't in the class, send me an email. Say, hey, Dave, send me that sheet that you were talking about. Or just do a Google search. What do realtors blog about? Okay? What do realtors blog about? Just about anything and everything. So on this list, we'll see a couple different things. You want to talk about your pet? You want to write a story about your neighborhood? You want to talk about homeowners insurance? You want to talk about new development that's coming online? You want to talk about roadway construction, 66, changes the tolls, new companies that are coming in the area, new daycare that's coming out, new restaurants, buyers and sellers, foreclosures. There's an infinite number of things for you to talk about besides just yourself and your listing. Can you do interviews, right? Can you do your vendor partners? What are the top 10 questions that a contractor gets asked? What are the top 10 questions that my lender gets asked? What are the top 10 questions about closing with my title company? Could I interview my title rep, Dave Robertson, and ask him these questions? Could I interview my lender, Rich, Ed, or Rob, or Tim in the market center, and ask them to do this? And remember, everything that I'm talking about, and we'll touch this a little bit more, can also be turned into what? A video. I can blog about these things. I can video about these things. So if I'm having these questions and these conversations with Dave or Tim, I might actually record it in video. Then I'll type up the blog post to support the video because Google owns YouTube. So when I host that video conversation to YouTube. Then I put it on my website with a summary of the conversation that took place, what they would find in the video. The video itself will actually help that blog post rank higher on Google because they love video. So that's something to really take into consideration. When you see other people's blog posts, right, whether they're here in Northern Virginia or if they're around the country and they're talking about different things, look at the topic that they're discussing and think, how does that apply to where I live? Can I turn this topic into something that's relevant to my marketplace? Right? So things that are going on in California may or may not be appropriate for what we're doing here, but the topic, if rewritten to represent Northern Virginia, could become very important, right? So don't disregard what somebody else is doing. Take a look at that topic and see how you can spin that. Now, at the same time, if you want to share, I could take another blog post, right, and turn it into my own blog post. Now, what do I mean by that? I'm not going to take Jason's blog post about 66 expansion and how it's going to affect traffic and post it as my own, but I might take it and reference it, turn it to my own spin of what I think about it, but give credit to Jason in the post that he wrote, probably provide a link to his blog post that he wrote about it. And that's just the proper way of doing things, right? Because online content belongs to somebody else if you're just taking it. It's okay to put your own spin. You do the same thing with a news article. Like Inman News is constantly publishing things that are relevant to the marketplace. So you could take an article from the Inman News, summarize it, talk about it, why you thought it was important, give your point of view to it, give credit to the article itself, maybe a link back to the article itself, right? And then provide your information. And people find true value in that. It's always important to include a photograph with your blog post as well. Talked about pixels and stock photos and Getty images. In the blogging class, I go in a little bit more detail about that there's an infinite number of sites where you can go and search these things. But if you just did a Google search for free stock photos, you'll start to see that there are different sites, and obviously there are paid sites as well, where they may charge you 99 cents to utilize a photo. So build your library of photographs. It's really important. Understanding when you incorporate photographs into a blog post, what sizes you're using. Are they high def? Are they low resolution? Because you need to know if I have a photograph and maybe it's a low res 300 or 150 by 150, and I have it on my hard drive, but I want to incorporate it into a space that needs a 16 by 6 pixelized count, and I stretch that out to fit that box, it's going to be completely pixelized and look awful. So pay attention to where you're going to post photographs and what I'm downloading. Most of these websites will allow you to download photographs and custom size them. So you can either just take a high resolution photo, or I can say, look, I want this photo, but I need it in 16 by 6, or I need it by 600 by 600, or I need it by 300 by 300. And then when I name them on my website, I know what size that they are, so I can post those in. If it's a blog post photo, it's probably going to be 300 by 300. If it's a photo of a house that I want on my community page, it's going to be a slide, then it'll be 16 by 6. So I've got comfortable knowing with what different size images I need, or my website, the Playster gives me to upload different size photography. So pay attention to that. Have a call to action on that blog. What's my home worth? Do I want to get a listing like this? So if I'm talking about a blog for a home that I sold for sale in Pimmet Hills, I would probably have a link to other homes for sale in Pimmet Hills, or a contact me for other opportunities for homes inside Pimmet Hills. So constantly thinking about how I'm going to capture this audience and convert them into a client. So if I've given them information that they're looking for, they're probably more apt to give me their accurate information. And it says CTAC, but that actually is supposed to be a contact us or a listing alert page there. What should I blog about? I just gave that list there. You see, that's about 27 of them there, but there's all kind of them. But you'll see, I think Inman News did an article where there was 101 different things. If you go to Playster.com, you'll see they've got a multitude of articles where they tell you what to blog about, how to incorporate, how to blog, how to engage with your clients, how to give them what they're looking for, how to include photography, all kinds of great, important stuff. Area and community. Super, super important information that you're able to talk to area and community on your website. It's really difficult to get found online if you're too general, if you're too broad. If I'm talking about Northern Virginia, if I'm talking about Falls Church, if I'm talking about Springfield or Burke, if I'm talking about Washington, D.C., there's a lot of noise. There's a lot of traffic for homes for sale in XYZ area, right? You're not going to get found that way. You want to utilize the areas and the communities at a much lower level on your website. And I talk about mapping from the bottom up and start thinking about the neighborhoods inside of the cities or the communities, the master plan communities inside of Ashburn, and working your way up to the county level. Maybe identifying 5 neighborhoods or communities that are around you or in your farm area and talk specifically to that and start utilizing what we call the long tail. So when you include information on in an area or a community, start utilizing terms that Google provides for you. Right now, I'm not saying you have to have a Google AdWords account. That certainly becomes helpful. But in the beginning, utilize Google itself as a tool. So if you have a topic that you're going to talk about, Google that topic. Google will start to guess what you're talking about. And you can utilize those guess words as other versions of the topic that you're talking about and write that sequence of words into your topic, into your paragraph. And Google will start hanging on them when they use they have these spiders that crawl through the pages to help match up what people are looking for to what you're offering on your website. Websites function in a couple of different ways besides algorithms. They look at how old the website itself is. Like how long have you owned the domain name? And it doesn't mean if I've moved platforms, but how long have I had the domain name daviddonaldson.com, right? If I just bought it today, it's new today. If I've had it for 10 years, then it's got 10 years of seasoning that maybe it's been out there publishing information. Google gives credence to the age of the domain name. Secondarily, they look at the content. This is what we're talking about here. Is the content that I'm offering relevant to the keyword search, that long tail? If I'm looking for investment homes under $1 million in Pimment Hills, single family, it's a little long, but it's very specific, right? So if I talk to those points inside of a blog post or a community page, I'm going to show up in somebody's ranking a lot easier than I am trying to compete for homes for sale in Pimment Hills. Does that make sense? Right? So use the tools at your disposal. That long tail search is a cheaper way to get in front of an audience without having to do a lot of pay-for-play advertising. Spotlight neighborhoods. Talk to schools, businesses, communities, metro, location to downtown, to DC, to new industries that are popping up, right? Is Amazon coming? What is that going to look like? Is that going to affect some communities? It certainly is. Excuse me. I'm just going to shut this door. Right. Amazon comes to Loudoun County. It's going to be a boon, right? There's going to be a whole bunch of people moving here. What's that going to look like to property values? What's going to look like to sellers, right? That's a whole conversation about a community page and some blog posts, right? A lot of information I could provide on that if you became the expert talking about that. Give the audience what they want to know. Everything about the area. If there's new restaurants opening up, go dine there. Write a review on it, right? If there's a new movie theater open up, heck, if there's a new movie, right? If the movie theater made changes to the seats, hey, I love the new seats at A&C Starplex. They're awesome. Hey, the food that they're offering in Alamo, or they've changed their beer selection. Who knows what people are interested in? But if you give all that kind of information in these community pages, they'll keep coming back, right? I like this. Be the digital tour guide and showcase the detail in your local market knowledge. Your digital tour guide. So think about that for a minute. Are you their digital tour guide? We're constantly talking and saying that you're their local area expert. Right? That's what we all have been taught to tell everybody that we talk about. But be their digital tour guide. Give them what they're looking for. Create that stickiness on your website so that they keep coming back to you because you told them what you were and you're showing them what you were through your website. Right? You'll see a lot of other websites, and I gave some examples here in the slides. And if anybody wants these PowerPoints, email me. I'll be more than happy to send you the PowerPoint presentation I created today. I have no problem with that. Earlier I talked about seeing what other people's blogs looked like. Look what other people's websites look like. In Northern Virginia, outside of Northern Virginia, I don't care. What do you like? What draws you in? Because if you're drawn in, then your clients are probably drawn in too, right? There's no problem with reinventing the wheel as far as what are they providing as content. Now, the content has to be yours, which means you have to write it. I can't copy and paste, can't plagiarize from somebody else's. But maybe the way that they're breaking down the pages, we see on this site here for luxury homes in Summerlin, they broke prices down by price point. Homes under 250, homes under 5. Now, does homes under 250 exist anywhere around here? Maybe Percival, right? Pretty far out. But in the DC, inside the Beltway, certainly not. So our price points look a lot different. It might be under 2 million, under 1.5, under 1 million, under 750, and then but then you can segregate it, right? And then it could be, townhouses under 6, condos under 4, 3-bedroom, 2-bath condos, 2-bedroom, 2-bedroom condos. So you get that specific. And every one of these links, where do these go? They all link to search criteria at different spots on their website. So now you're getting people to bounce around on your website. So you just created a link. You did a search on your website, and then you created the search, and you buried it behind these keywords. It's called a hyperlink. Right? We're used to seeing that highlighted in blue. When we know that we click on that, it's going to take us to provide more information that are in this context. Right? So in your website, when you create content, you can highlight a word and click on this little chain link thing, which is called a hyperlink, and I just paste in a link, and it's going to direct them to more information about the topic that I was just talking about or that I highlighted. So there's a pretty cool feature. Research page, right? Buyers, sellers, checklists. What do you offer? How do you do business? More and more we're seeing infographics, right? There's a website called Canva that allows you to develop it. They have a free version of it where you can create banners and imagery, where you can take photographs and write text, and there's all kinds of different formats out there, but Canva is pretty popular right now. Or create an infographic. What's the process of an escrow? And from going under contract to closing, there's all kinds of things that go on in between. And versus just writing out in bulleted format, which we all know we don't like to read, right? We've gotten adapt to video and content. But if I build an infographic with arrows and directionals and boxes and circles and triangles and colors, oh, this is what the process is all about. Dave's going to take me through this. He's going to help me navigate the seas of a real estate transaction, right? You're showcasing your value, because a lot of people have a hard time understanding exactly what it is, what we do. So create something and showcase it on your website and show it to them. Can we provide ebooks? If you write, right? If you write, can you create an ebook? Or do you want to share an ebook, something that they can download? Marketing material. Give examples of imagery and photographs. We had somebody in here yesterday in our team meeting talking about staging from Brook Furniture Rental, and she showed some pictures, before and after pictures of some staging. So if you utilize staging in your business, would it behoove you to show some before and after pictures of staging and the results of that, right? So that's not just proof on your website, that also becomes like a blog post. So here's some examples of staging that I did before, after, and the after photo shows also that a summary page that we sold this property in 123 Main Street in 10 days at 5% above value. And the value was because of the staging. We also know the property, and that could be an example of a property that maybe you took over as an expired listing, right? Show the picture of the pictures that they had from when they were before you, right? Then you with staged property, and then how you sold the property. So talking about your profit, your process, and your value in online marketing. Info about Zillow. There are agents that I helped with this market center. I don't want to jump ahead too much because I think I talked to a testimonial page, but Zillow, right? Zillow is important. Zillow creates headache for us in our lives with misinformation, inappropriate information, Zestimates, right? I remember when Zestimates first came out. I've been licensed for 10 years, and oh my goodness, they were screwing things up. I was in Arizona, and they couldn't get them anywhere close believe it or not, we have a lot of waterfront property in Arizona. Sounds funny, but a lot of man-made lakes where they would hit and they bring water up, and so there'd be a lot of waterfront homes, and their calculated, their analytics were based off of frontage square footage, but we calculated and valued properties by waterfront square footage, and it didn't take those things into consideration. So there was a lot of variance, and also we had a lot of golf courses. So again, so your frontage to the golf course had much more tremendous value than your frontage on the street, especially if you had a pie-shaped lot. So you really should include disclaimers and disclosures about Zillow on your website. And I talk to people all the time about talking about Zillow in your listing, your buyer consultations, right? About not just this information, but sometimes when you put a listing active, that the information that comes across on Zillow is not what you put in the MRAS. There are bugs in their system. So they have problems there that are out of your control. So you need to let your clients know that while you're going to pay attention to what their online marketing looks like, and you will correct them as necessary, but some things are out of your control. So you have to have a conversation about that in advance. Right. Come forth with the facts. Share, like you're saying, that a lot of that information, there's misleading information out there. Support what you're saying with that. You can share different articles about people talking about Zillow or why those estimates are wrong, how you come up with it. Because a lot of times you'll go into an appointment and somebody will have a $1 million price tag and a $700,000 neighborhood because that's what Zillow told them their house was. And I always like to ask them, when was the last time a Zillow agent came through and toured your house? What do you mean? Do they do that? No, they don't do that. They've never seen your house. They don't know what the value is. They're trying to base off of tax records and local sales and square footage and come up with some algorithm to tell you what it's worth. Look at Google's website and look at the variances where they actually disclose on their website of how much margin of error there is. They talk about 20% margin of error. That's $200,000 on $1 million property. Are you going to put your faith in a 20% swing? Maybe your property is worth more. That happens too. So absolutely talk to the things that you know that you will get questioned at in a listing appointment. Put that information out there in advance. Again, every one of those questions. So if you get a question more than once, there's a system for that for you to answer that. And that's either putting it out there in a blog or putting it out there in a video. So you can always steer people back to it. And these things are hosted on your website. How to prep a house for sale, life of an escrow. Obviously, every page like this supported with photos and videos. And this particular client had an understanding of the buyer from clueless to curious to serious to sold. I thought that was kind of cute. This was something they had on their website. Always searching other agents' websites for content that I like and starting to think about, all right, how can I incorporate it into mine? This was an agent out in Arizona, so I really liked that page. Evaluation page. You see this used a lot, especially in advertising. What's my home worth? There are different platforms that you can use for a CMA, warning them of estimates and things like that. Show me value. A lot of these are paid sites, so you can shop around for different things like that. You can use a platform called WFOO, WFOO, and it's a form generator. It's actually what I have on my page. And it's a 3-page questionnaire asking them a couple questions about their property and registering them for me to send them a home evaluation form. Some of these other paid for plays are a little bit more automated than that. They're obviously cleaner. They're a little nicer, a little bit more detailed in what you're giving. So do a little research on those if you want to spend some money on that. But you can start here with a WFOO form before you start spending money. I like free 99. Eric always talks about free 99. So I'll save you money when I can, but sometimes you have to pay a little bit to get something a little bit more shiny. When those leads come, they'll register and they'll pop to your database that, hey, somebody registered, they have a contact information at 123 Main Street and they want information. Here's the number of bedrooms, the bathrooms, the square footage. So they've given the information where you can do a quick CMA, get them on the phone, schedule an appointment, get them into the office. Woofu, it's a funny little thing. So for those of you who are music fans, Woofu, Wu-Tang Clan, and Foo Fighters. The owner of this company was a fan of both. That's how he came up with Woofu. I always found that kind of funny. Right? A little humor there, right? Newsletters. Newsletters have kind of fallen by the wayside a little bit. I've seen them recently kind of come back into play a little bit more because of the cost of postage. But for so much focus on our spheres that we talk a lot about in our office, newsletters are very appropriate, especially if you're farming. If there's a specific area or neighborhood that you farm regularly, a newsletter is very helpful, something that you can mail. But at the same time, that newsletter can be posted online. You can make it downloadable, or you can just make it viewable right on the website itself. And it is a little different, and it's different than a blog. Obviously, I have it up here. It's an all-in-one resource for email communication, hot topics, blogs, monthly home updates, and local market news. It's a way for you to kind of get out a listing of information of all the activity in the neighborhood. We've all received those types of newsletters or flyers in our neighborhoods saying, hey, here's the most recent sales over the last 60 days. So that's the type of information and format. The Michael Lewis marketing suite that we have in our office and on the eEdge both allows us to create our own newsletters within it. So you can utilize that. There are also paid services where you can have somebody create content for you, and you're just adding a little bit more, maybe some local statistics, a little bit of local content, but they're giving you some of the other fluff, the recipes, the time of year type stuff, seasonal activities that they should be doing around, some of the imagery that goes along with it, and you're just rebranding it. Something else that they have, it's called Lifestyle Magazine. That's a paid subscription where it is actually really nice. Lifestyle Magazine. There's another one I want to starts with an A. I can't remember the name of it. Where you pay and you say, hey, man, I want 100 of these each month, and they will actually mail them out for you. And they're making thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of those magazines, but they're adding your photo, your contact information, like a one page about you on each page, but the rest of the magazine is stock. And that's mailed out. But I've also seen them where they're hosted on agents' websites where you can kind of click through the pages. So, some pretty cool things that you can do and host on your website. Testimonials. Testimonials are uber important, right? We have them online. Zillow, Trulia, Yelp, your own website. But what happens if somebody's reading the testimonials on your own website? Well, they may or may not be true, right? Dave is the best realtor I ever had, got me 200% of value, 5 stars, signed by Stephanie S. Okay, am I going to doubt that? Probably. But if I wrote, hey, Dave was super helpful for my wife and my kids as we relocated to Northern Virginia, helped streamline the process, answered all the questions we had, signed Stephanie S., Fairfax, Virginia. Now, that's a little bit more believable, but at the same time, it's just hosted on my website. So what I like to do is take the reviews that I get my clients to post on Zillow or Trulia or Realtor.com, copy those reviews to put on my website, and then I embed the link to the live review. So it links back directly to my review source on Zillow or Realtor.com or Trulia, where they're all hosted. So that's the value. People love to see those star rankings. So when you add that second layer to the review itself, then you're getting the best of both worlds. I'm showing you, here's my client's testimonial of me, and I'm showing you where they posted it online, whether it was Facebook or Yelp or Trulia or Realtor.com or anywhere else that they, there's constantly coming up with sites where you can post reviews. And I encourage you, when you get clients, it's tough to get them. Even the best clients in the world, you almost have to chase them down sometimes and say, look, I really need you to brag about me. I know we had a great transaction and I know you're happy, but I need you to brag about me. So you really have to get them to go to those websites and post as many reviews online as you can get them to do. And it's hard sometimes. So that's part of it. It's really important to have your follow-up process, right? After you close on a transaction, you don't disappear from your clients' lives. You constantly have to continue to communicate with them. Well, part of that communication is asking for referrals, but asking for them to brag about you online. So you can set up automatic drip campaigns that are follow-up to a closing transaction that summarizes everything that's going to be done, what's going to happen next, how you're going to stay in touch with them. And oh, by the way, if you could click on these 3 links and fill out an online review for me, it'd be greatly appreciated. And again, when you take the listings stuff, you're talking about the process, about how you might close them, how you can communicate and say, if you're happy with my process or whoever, please communicate, let me know what's going on. But at the end of this, I'm going to ask for an online, how do I create a fan for life? So that's really important. Reviews are social gold, and the most powerful thing you can have online about you or your business. And what I mean by social gold here is, you notice that I didn't say positive reviews are social gold, right? I just said reviews. We don't control what our clients say. And we're really handicapped if somebody puts a negative review out there about us, because they're almost impossible to get taken down. Now, there are sometimes people are just angry and spiteful, and they will say awful, awful things about us. True or not, maybe the transaction didn't go the way that you wanted to do. There's probably some truth in what they said, but it's probably magnified by the volume of their anger for whatever it was. And that's really difficult to combat. You can try to respond in kind. That doesn't always end up well if you start getting, because you don't want to get an online argument with somebody, because then it's there for everywhere. You can ask to have the thing taken down if it's not true. They're just hard to do. So the best thing to do is have other reviews trump it, right? If you only have one review online and it's a bad review, well, that's really going to hurt. But if you've gotten into the habit of getting all of your clients all the time to fill out online reviews, and you have 7, 10, 20, 30, 40 different reviews, and the majority of them are 4 and 5 star reviews, and you have 1 star review or 1 3-star review, it actually gives some humility and some honesty to about who you are, because you're not perfect and we make mistakes. And I think if we only had 5-star reviews in itself, that might cause some questions from people. So be conscious of it. Don't be afraid of it. If you've done your job, even if you've done it to 100%, you can't make somebody happy all the time. So just be conscious. Know that things are out there. You should be regularly checking yourself out online from Google standpoint. And you can use incognito window or get on different computers, because from your own computer start to cookie information and give you what you think you're looking for. Right? So if you go to a third-party computer or go to incognito and search your name on Google, then you'll have a better understanding of what you will truly look like if I was looking you up, or somebody that never looked you up before, what that likeness would be. Consultation and registration page. For those of you that have been in the Market Center, know that I use a tool called Calendly. Okay. I have a call to action on the website, as you can see here, that says get in touch. I can tie that to Calendly and show when I have availability. So when I book times, this is a great way for clients to see when I have, it's tough sometimes when you're going back and forth and does 1 or 3 o'clock on Wednesday or Friday work for you? And you're going back and forth. So sometimes sending them an actual link when they get in touch and say, hey, yes, I want to meet, I want to talk. You could send them, hey, here's my calendar. Pick a time that's best for you. Because if it says I'm available on here, I'm available and we'll meet. So it's a great little tool for you to utilize. So have that consultation registration link on your website. And that's it for this class. I know there's only 2 of you in the class. Do you guys have any questions? So negative information. So other agents talk negatively about other agents. We're above board on that, right? I'm never going to say anything negative about another agent, another brokerage. What I'm going to talk about is myself, my successes. I'm going to use what we call a lore report, the language of real estate. So inside of the growth initiative that we have on KW Connect and inside of Michael Lewis Marketing, we have different flyers that allow us to create and utilize market statistics to say that our numbers, and whether they're my numbers or my office numbers, are out producing everybody else. And it does it in a much more softer tone than me saying writing something negative, because I'm not going to give anybody credence, right? I don't like to mention other brokerages. I don't like to mention other agents. I'm just going to talk about me. If I'm in a listing appointment, somebody is asking why I'm better than XYZ, I'm not going to acknowledge XYZ. I'm just going to say what I do. And that's what my website is going to reflect. So my website and your website should never reflect anything negative about why I'm better than somebody else. Just talk to your successes and what you do and what you do so well, and then the testimonials or the videos or the accolades to support that. Does anybody online have any questions? I'll go ahead. I had shut the mics down. I'm going to go ahead and open that up and see if you guys have any questions. Give me 1 second. Okay, I opened the mics. So if anybody online has a question, feel free to turn your mic on and fire away.
Hey, David, Jeff Payne.
Hey, Jeff.
Hey, great class. Really enjoyed it. Nice and clear. I take it it's going to be available to watch now.
Yeah, we recorded this, so I'll take the time. I'll put it up on our YouTube channel, and it'll be up by tomorrow.
Thank you.
Not a problem. Thanks for joining. Lorena, Lou, Rachel, Sarah, anybody else got any questions? Okay, well, with that, we're going to go ahead and shut down. I appreciate everybody's time for joining me today. There will be a second class on this where I'll get into a little bit more detail about the blogging and how to incorporate the information on your website. So what I would like you guys to do between now and the next class in February is take these slides that I sent you and start to create content, whether it's in a Word document or on the website itself. And then in the next class, we'll utilize the tools and actually do it more of a boot camp style, which will be harder to do for you guys that are online. So it would be great if you were in the class where we're actually incorporating these things into the website itself. Now we're going to assume that your website is set up. If not, contact me and we'll have that set up conversation. I do have a setup class coming up in a week or so. But the next class is towards the end of February. Just place there 10 pages from my website, part 2, which really is the boot camp version. So I want you to take these pages, start thinking about and what you want your websites to look like, and we'll start incorporating that information to those pages, if not before that class. All right, everybody, have a great day.